So this is our framework, our GXG framework. We use this big, medium, small. We're talking large multi-channel experience. We're talking a campaign. We're even talking a single bulletin. We are always trying to ground ourselves in what is the goal? Who are we talking to? What is the journey? Where are they at in their journey? And then what is the content that's needed, right? So if you can think about always trying to contextualize based on that understanding of who the person is, what your goals are, and where they are in the process. Again, it's a way to always ground yourself in the right content at the right time for the right person. We use that then to apply it to our 4 phases of communication. So 4 phases: awareness and opt-in, trust and consideration, decision and action, management and engagement. There's a lot of comms folks in the room. This is not necessarily unique to us. Maybe a couple words tweaked here and there, but it's pretty consistent. But when we start to think about how we apply that to goals, and we start to think about how we apply that to the actual approach, we're trying to understand how to not just build an audience, but understand the audience, right? And so then we start to ask questions. Who do we need to reach? What do we need to know about them? How might we go about doing that, right? And so then we start thinking about how are we going to capture that data and that understanding of who those folks are while we're building the audience. Next, we think about targeted engagement, right? So if we have built the audience, we understand the audience, then we want to provide that more targeted messaging and understanding. So Bob was talking earlier about how we help a lot in terms of thinking about the data that comes in, but it's so that we don't just take it in, it's that we actually then help offer a more specific communications out, right? So you don't want to just collect information that Lindsay prefers to receive updates about her medical benefits on text messaging and then start emailing her about her medical benefits, right? You want to apply that understanding to the way that you're actually engaging with them. And then you use that to drive conversion. So again, whatever that goal is, whether it's applying for an application, whether it's trying to drive people to take a specific action online, like downloading a resource or pledging funds or applying for the grant that we've talked about, what you're doing with this communications is driving them to take that action. And then once they have taken that action, how do you keep engaging with them, right? We were talking earlier, the panelists were talking earlier about the notion of re-engaging or continuing to nurture folks once they've applied for a grant application. How do you continue to keep them warm and tell them more about the next process, right? It's an ongoing process. So some takeaways there, right? The idea of engaging early and often, moving from awareness to action, understanding the connection of communications to a customer-specific journey, helping to unstick them, measuring them along the way, and all of that really should help to build trust and transparency. Okay, this might get a little small, but bear with me. This approach is how we actually then, once we've thought through this, there's the thinking and understanding of who folks are, thinking and understanding of the goals, then you start to apply that to the technology, right? And you start to use the different components that are available, whether it's through GovDelivery, other technology available, surveys. How do you think about the different pieces along the way? So welcome campaigns, UTM tracking, engagement pages, landing pages, moving on then to increased segmentation, A/B testing, targeted messaging, right? You can progress along, much as Mark was talking about, an increased digital maturity along the way. There's an increased usage of the technology in a targeted way for the goals that you're trying to achieve. And ultimately, as you build this foundation and as you start to use more and more of the technology in this thoughtful approach sort of way, you build the foundation for the advanced analytics and the ability to truly understand and see across your different programs, across your agency, the experience that people are going through. So to shift that just a little, right, to move it to a classic marketing funnel, you can see too, right, it all kind of just keeps moving down. You're moving people from awareness, opting them in, building trust and consideration. All of these pieces all together come to, stack on top of each other to then get to that place of measurable results.